Kristen here. Happy Thursday. Excited to see you guys. Excited to talk about coffee. Coffee is probably one of my favorite beverages. There have been moments in my life where I've given it up completely. There have been moments where I've cut down significantly, and then there are times when I enjoy it because, as many of you guys know, I believe in food freedom. I'm Kristen Avagliana. I'm the founder of Create My Weight. Welcome to the Health and Weight Loss for Foodies group if you are new. If you're watching me live, say, hey, Kristen, what's up? If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. And really quickly, guys, like before we jump into this super exciting talk about coffee, like I mentioned, the good about coffee, the bad about coffee, and then the truth about coffee, you want to make sure you stay for the entire presentation because there's a lot to discuss when it comes to coffee. I'm going to do my absolute best to get this done in like 15, 20 minutes maximum, depending on how many questions you have. But again, there's so much to do, or there's so much to discuss when it comes to coffee. And so I want to be really clear first and foremost that this conversation is not going to be about caffeine because unfortunately coffee has gotten such a bad rep because it contains caffeine. Caffeine is a whole separate conversation. So tonight I will talk a little bit about the caffeine that's in coffee, but I overall want to give coffee the attention that it deserves. Okay. So real quickly, guys, comment below how you drink your coffee. What do you put in your coffee? Do you have an espresso machine? Do you use a regular coffee pot? Do you do French press? Do you go to the coffee shop every day? Do you do instant coffee? I'd love to know below how you drink your coffee. I think I asked this in the group a couple weeks, like last week or this week, but I'd love to know, how do you take your coffee? Right? I would love to know that. This way I can start to kind of connect with you guys and see if we all do it in similar ways. But yes, I'm a coffee girl. I have an espresso machine at my home. I also have a coffee pot. So I typically, use both of those. But let me jump into this topic. So you can definitely take some notes if you'd like. I'm going to be throwing a lot of information at you because my goal is to educate you, right? It is not my goal to, judge you based on whether you drink coffee or not. My job, and this is also my job as a coach, is to give you all the information and then we can help you make the best conclusions based on your goals and your lifestyle and just overall your preferences, right? So let's jump into the good about coffee, right? And so I want to start with the obvious, right? Obviously, coffee is known to boost our energy. Not only does it elevate our energy levels, but it also elevates our brain function levels as well. So coffee can be that great morning, afternoon energy boost, but it also can boost athletic performance. So I get a lot of questions about pre-workout. Oh, do you use pre-workout before you go to the gym or before you go for a run? And my answer is absolutely not. I've used it once in my life and never again. I'm actually somebody who's pretty sensitive to caffeine or other types of like stimulants. And so pre-workout's not my jam, but like a little bit of coffee, before a workout will get me so much farther and much more progress in my workout than if I did not have any coffee at all, right? So coffee can boost athletic performance and also energy levels as well. And like I said, it also promotes like brain function too. So those are like the obvious benefits of coffee, but because of the caffeine mainly in there. But coffee actually has over 100 biologically active components in it. There are phytochemicals in there and other health benefits to coffee. So one benefit some of you guys might not know is it actually can help reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes. Okay, because there's a component in coffee that actually helps with regulating your blood sugar levels, right? So those of us who are pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, drinking a recommended amount of coffee per day, I'll get to that next, can actually help lower your risk of type 2 diabetes, right? And actually control your glucose levels as well, okay? Coffee consumption has also been shown to significantly reduce your risk of liver disease, liver cancer, and so that, again, that's another great benefit. Liver cancer. I actually took some notes here. Let me share this with you guys. You guys, like literally so many good health benefits to coffee. And I also want to share this before I go into my next point here, that if you go on Google and you look up health benefits or pros and cons of coffee, you're going to get a zillion things. You have to look at the year of which these studies were done because 7-10 years ago, coffee was like terrible, right? Like it was all the rage because of the caffeine levels. right? But now more recent studies are really focusing on the health benefits of coffee beans themselves, right? So that's where all of my research and my studies I'm referencing tonight are going to be beneficial to you, okay? So that's what I wanted to share. So in terms of the type 2 diabetes, just to be clear, the coffee has tons of phytochemicals that may act as antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, and also insulin sensitivity boosters, right? So this is going to help minimizing your type 2 diabetes. Also, too, liver cancer, in case you guys didn't know this, I said it helps prevent liver cancer. Liver cancer is actually the second leading cancer that results in death, and sixth most frequently diagnosed cancer in the world. I didn't even know that. According to one study, people who drank 2 cups of coffee per day were 43% less likely to develop it than those who stayed coffee-free. Okay. Also, when it comes to teeth health, I know there's that negative about coffee staining your teeth, but actually drinking coffee can help you not lose your teeth and actually keep them in your mouth. So one study from Boston University showed that drinking coffee can help improve your periodontal health, right? So people that drank coffee had fewer teeth lost, than those who drank less coffee. Okay, so I actually never knew that. That was pretty interesting. Okay. Also, coffee is really helpful in preventing strokes as well. There was a Japanese study that showed that people that drank one cup of coffee a day were 20 to 30% less likely to suffer a stroke than those who didn't drink any. Okay, and then also too, and a lot of you guys probably know this, that coffee has been known to help protect against heart disease, right? Which is one of the biggest killers in the U.S., right? So it can help with the heart. And this is actually Kristen Kirkpatrick. She's this awesome dietitian out of Cleveland Clinic, and I've read a lot of her work. And one of the things she talks about, which I love, and we talk a lot about this in CMW, is gut health and really protecting the microbiome, right? And so what's great about coffee is that there are several compounds in coffee that are known to improve the gut microbiome, right? Because what it does, it actually reduces oxidative stress on the gut, right? Which occurs when free radicals outnumber antioxidants in a way that leads to disease-causing cellular damage in the body, right? So also too, there are some components in coffee that actually feed the good gut bacteria, right? And in order to promote good gut health, we want to elevate our good gut bacteria, right? And lower the bad gut bacteria. Okay, another point that she made that I think is really good is that coffee beans are so rich in hue, and coffee is just so rich in hue, and it's a well-known fact that any plants that have a really deep color to them are historically healthy to us and beneficial. Think about beets. Think about dark green leafy greens, right? Always really beneficial for our health. Drinking coffee has also been known to help reduce depression, right? Harvard Medical School did a study, and the study showed that it decreased depression by 1/3, right? And there's 2 reasons why this happens. Number one is because when we're improving our gut health, right, there is such a strong mind-gut connection. So if we're improving our gut health by drinking moderate amounts of coffee, then it's going to improve our mood overall, right, because of the mind-gut connection. Okay, so super important, right? So it's the phytochemicals in the coffee that feed the good gut bacteria. Okay. It's also been shown that coffee can increase our lifespan, primarily because it helps with our heart condition as well, and our heart health. Okay. So there was a study that was done in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology that suggests that drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, whether it's caffeinated, decaffeinated, or instant coffee, not only reduces the risk of death from cardiovascular disease, it also lowers the risk of dying from any cause. Okay. It's also good for the kidneys, which some of you might be listening to this and thinking, wait, I thought caffeine is bad for the kidneys. Again, I'm talking about coffee, not about levels of caffeine. And I always, too, guys, recommend speaking to your specific doctor about any information that you receive, because coffee affects people differently, right? And I'm going to get into the consequences of coffee here in a moment, but I'm just sharing like what science says, more recent science says about coffee. So one of the reasons why coffee can be good for the kidneys is because coffee helps the body get rid of excess water, right? You pee more when you drink coffee, which reduces excess sodium and calcium deposits in the bloodstream. And so when we have kidney stones or any kind of kidney issues, that's because there's too much sodium or calcium components in the bloodstream, right? So that's why anyone that has a kidney issue has to be on a low sodium diet, also low calcium too. And so coffee can help get those excretements out of the body. Coffee also stimulates the digestive system, right, as well as the brain, right? So it's good, to have that little post-dinner coffee, right? I'm Italian, we do it all the time, all right? So those are all the health benefits of coffee specifically. And I tried to focus, guys, and there's really a lot more too, to be honest, but those are the main ones I want to focus on for today. Now on to the bad, okay? So one of the things I teach in CMW is the difference between a more acidic diet and a more alkaline diet. So my CMW clients who are watching me right now on the live, actually, I really can't read the comments right now for whatever reason, they're not popping up for me. Coffee is very acidic, okay? So what I mean by acidic is that it's acid in the blood, right? And most of the American diet is acidic, right? So dairy products, animal products, sugar, alcohol, caffeine is acidic, right? And some people that have any kind of like acid reflux, like they can't even consume coffee for that matter. And some people can. And there are some less acidic coffees in the market, like cold brew coffee, for example, tends to be less acidic than regular coffee. And also how coffee is brewed will affect the acidity level. So actually instant coffee has less acidity, or is less acidic than regular coffee. So let's not all hate on instant coffee. There's a time and a place for it. It is actually better for some populations. But if our body is in a very acidic state, meaning our blood has a lower pH, right? So lower pH means lower alkaline, high acidic level. When our body is in a higher acidic level, we are more prone to disease. We are more prone to get sick. We have a harder time fighting off things, and it could potentially shorten our lifespan and our quality of life. Okay, there's also acids in plastics, in lotions you use, the atmosphere. Acid is all around us. There's an estimate that 80% of the Western world atmosphere is acidity, pollution, right? So this is why minimizing, caffeine intake or acidic foods in general, like some of the ones I just mentioned, is going to be better for your health overall. And having a higher alkaline diet, which will increase the pH in your body. So fruits and vegetables, right? Drinking good quality water is going to be important as well to raise the pH in your body. Okay. And that's going to help boost your immunity, your longevity, your energy levels for some people. Okay. So some of you are thinking, well, maybe I should go invest in like alkaline water. Yes, there's pros to alkaline water 100%. It can help temporarily elevate your pH. However, you have to be careful of the plastic bottle, right, that the water comes in, because plastic's acidic and also terrible for you. Okay. So that's one of the consequences of coffee, partially because of the caffeine in there, but it's acidic, right? Number 2 with coffee, like I said before, it stains your teeth, right? So some people I've seen like drink out of straws or something. A lot of you guys know this one. Number 3, it disrupts your sleep, right? So some people that might want to have a coffee in the afternoon, maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock, they might notice that it affects their sleep in the evening if they have a coffee. I know I used to suffer from that. Even some people who are really sensitive to caffeine, they might have a coffee at 9 a.m. and it affects them the rest of the day. I've had some clients, even some friends, who can't drink coffee. It just doesn't serve them. It makes them jittery, right? Jittery is another consequence of coffee because of the caffeine. It can increase anxiety as well. And also too, guys, like coffee is one of the most chemically treated products out there. So in CMW, I always talk about the importance of buying organic coffee, 100%. Not just because there's less chemicals involved and toxins for you, but also because there's less opportunities for mold to get into your coffee. And actually, Dave Asprey, he's the founder of Bulletproof Coffee and the Bulletproof Diet. You probably heard him talk about nutrition sometimes. He has some interesting views on nutrition. I agree with some, not all. But he talks about mold in coffee, and yeah, he was actually one of the first to really bring this to life back in the 90s. And so I feel like ever since then, I've been really mindful of what kind of coffee to consume, right? I like to grind my own coffee beans if possible. I don't do that here, but like if I have a chance, I do. Or you can buy a coffee grinder really cheap, grind them up. That will minimize the risk of mold in your coffee. And something else too about coffee. So okay, and I want to give a little caveat to this study. And I'll talk more about this in the truth section. So there's different types of coffee, as many of you guys know. There's filtered coffee and then there's unfiltered coffee. So filtered coffee means you are drinking coffee that goes through like a paper filter. So like a pour over, for example. And then there is unfiltered coffee, right? So like espresso, or maybe you do like a Keurig or a French press, something like that. So when you do unfiltered coffee, the oils are passed through into your cup, right? When you do filtered coffee, the oils do not pass through. There are some studies that have shown that those oils that are passed through unfiltered coffee can temporarily raise your LDL cholesterol level, okay? But before you freak out and say, oh my God, coffee's gonna ruin my cholesterol, listen up, right? Because this is why reading studies and being careful of your sources is super important. Because the level in which the LDL was increased was nominal, maybe about 10%, and it was for a very limited time. It was a short spike in the LDL from drinking that coffee. And working out and moving is known to lower your LDL. And so let's say I drink a cup of coffee, even if it's unfiltered, like I have an espresso machine that I love. So let's say I'm drinking my espresso and the oil goes through, okay, fine. And then I go do a workout, which is typically what I do 5 days a week. So guess what? When I do the workout, it negates the LDL spike. Does that make sense? So I know this is part of the bad section, but like, yes, I guess technically if you're like super, super careful about your LDL, maybe drink filtered coffee, but for the most population, a temporary, a short spike in your LDL is not going to hurt you, okay? Another part about coffee with the caffeine is it can temporarily elevate your stress hormone, your cortisol, right? And so many of us are doing everything in our power to minimize cortisol spikes, right? So, caffeine is known to stress our adrenals, spike our cortisol levels. So if you are somebody that's really trying to keep your cortisol down, I recommend, obviously minimizing your caffeinated coffee or going to a decaf coffee to get the health benefits of coffee without the caffeine. So, and there actually are some really great coffees out there nowadays that have half of the caffeine than regular coffee. I actually really like what I've been using lately from Four Sigmatic, which is a great company, and it has about half of the amount of caffeine in it. So that's a good one. Okay, so that's the bad so far, okay, or what I'm going to share with you. Now I want to get into the truth, okay? So the truth about coffee. The truth is quality and quantity matter. Right? So I talked about the difference between filtered and unfiltered coffee. So filtered coffee is always going to be the purest, okay? You're just going through a paper filter, okay? Whereas unfiltered coffee is going to get the oils through, which can cause some health issues. But I personally am somebody, and comment below if this is you, I avoid plastic filters like the plague. Right? Like, for example, Keurigs or any kind of pod, right? Coffee going through aluminum, going through plastic, that's not natural. You are exposing yourself to microplastics, which are not good for hormone levels. So that's something I would advise against. If you are like hell-bent on your coffee pods, they make your life easier. My sister has a Keurig at her house. Like, I got her a reusable Keurig. It's a lot cheaper too, because K-cups get expensive, you guys, right? So like, buy a reusable one and buy some good quality coffee. Also, no offense to Keurig, usually the coffee quality in K-cups are not good, right? There's artificial colors, flavors, You don't know where it came from. I don't know. Coffee is something I invest in because it's something I put in my body. Oh, the truth. Something else I wanted to add here. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. I know that's something that a lot of people avoid, and I understand because they might be more prone to the jitteriness or the heightened levels of anxiety, any of those like nervous system side effects. So that is one of the consequences of drinking coffee on an empty stomach. But not every, and it's acidic, right? And if you have a very sensitive stomach, putting that acid in your body on an empty stomach is not a good thing either, right? But for many people, they can drink coffee on an empty stomach and it doesn't cause them any issues. So I do think that's a personal preference. But if you do notice that you're having heightened levels of stress, you can definitely not consume coffee on an empty stomach for sure. Or adding like a coconut cream or some good quality creamer can definitely reduce the intensity of the coffee on the gut, right? Okay, so quality matters. So organic coffee, you can choose between filtered and unfiltered coffee. Me personally, I drink espresso when I'm home, so like that's filtered coffee, but like I love my Italian espresso, so I'm not giving it up. Food freedom. Anyone else? But quantity matters. Okay, this is the question I get all the time. I say the best for last. So what is a daily recommended amount of coffee? What are the health benefits of how much coffee? So most of these studies that show the health benefits of coffee were ranging from 3 to 5 cups. So 3 to 5 cups. So 5 cups is about 400 milligrams of caffeine. So all this research shows that up to 400 milligrams of caffeine in coffee, that is where you get the benefits of caffeine. You get the benefits of coffee. Okay. And now granted, if you're like, that's way too much caffeine for me. Like if I had 5 cups of coffee a day, I would be terrible. I'd be so jittery. I'd be super anxious. Like I could never do that, right? 1 or 2 cups a day is more than enough for me. Okay. So that's what I do. So, but according to dietary guidelines, 3 to 5 8-ounce cups of coffee, not these ventis you get at Starbucks, 8 ounces, guys. So like this, right? Maybe smaller, or up to 400 milligrams of caffeine can be part of a healthy diet. But that's just black coffee. That does not include cappuccinos with all the milks and the sweeteners and the whipped cream and whatever else you put in your coffee, which are higher in calories, fat, and sugar. Well, higher in calories because of fat and sugar, right? So again, I would always, and the truth too about coffee, guys, is you always got to listen to your body. And this is what food freedom is about, right? So we have some clients in CMW that don't drink any coffee because that's their preference and they feel better. And then some of us like our 1 or 2 cups a day. I've had some clients that were drinking more, they cut back, they feel way better. Or they switched up their type of coffee, okay? But this was an interesting study I want to share with you guys, okay? In a study published by the Journal of Internal Medicine, people who drank 2 to 3 cups of filtered coffee a day, as opposed to unfiltered coffee made with like a pod, an espresso machine, or a French press, those are all considered unfiltered coffee, had a 60% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes than people who drank less than 1 cup of filtered coffee a day. Okay, those drinking unfiltered coffee did not see such a reduction in risk. Okay, so let me just kind of put that in a nice bow package for you. If you're concerned about your type 2 diabetes risks, you might want to consider switching to filtered coffee, which would be like a pour over or something, okay, or a coffee pod. So filter coffee is any coffee that goes through like a paper filter, okay? Because if we drink unfiltered coffee, we don't have the same benefits as filtered coffee, just so you know. I thought that was interesting because that's actually something I didn't know. And I definitely wanted to prepare myself for this talk because I know a lot about coffee in terms of nutrition, in terms of better quality types of coffee, like what to look for on labels. But I wanted to make sure I shared all the facts with you guys. And like I mentioned, there's a lot on the internet. You have to be careful of your sources. I'm a big fan of PubMed, which has all these different case studies from all different institutions. So I love them. And also the year in which these studies were published. So the truth about coffee is, again, every person's different. And this is exactly what I say in CMW. In CMW, we love cookies, but nothing we do is cookie cutter. Everyone we work with is different. So if we work together, I would not tell you you have to drink coffee to be healthy, right? What I would tell you is if you want to keep up with your habit of coffee, that's totally fine. Let's just make sure you're not overdoing it on coffee. Let's take a look at your stress levels. Let's take a look at your sleep. Is coffee affecting your sleep? Is coffee affecting your nervous system? What are you putting in your coffee? That's actually more important to consider than you drinking coffee alone. What's the quality of coffee you're consuming, right? How much water are you drinking? Fact, it takes 4 cups of water to neutralize the acid in 1 cup of coffee. So we should not be drinking coffee all day, every day. We should also not just have 2 cups of coffee and then drink no water. Okay? So I want to show that there. Because again, in CMW, and something else we also say is like, nudge, don't judge. Right? So I will never judge you if you don't drink coffee, or I won't judge you for drinking coffee. I do think coffee is a personal preference. I know some people are like married to their coffee. I have given up lots of foods in my life. I've done all kinds of restricted diets in the past. I've given up alcohol, dairy, meat, sugar, gluten, grains. I mean, you name it, I've done it. Coffee was probably the hardest for me, not because I missed the caffeine, right? After not drinking coffee for a week, some of you have done it before. Comment below if you've given up coffee for a week. I actually gave up coffee for Lent one year. Oh my God, 5-6 years ago. So I've given up coffee in the past, and after like 3 or 4 days, like I'm totally fine. It's not the energy for me. It's like the routine. I love waking up. I love making coffee. I love making coffee for guests that are visiting. I love to try different types of coffee when I travel. Oh my God, forget it. I'm trying coffee in every cafe, especially when I travel abroad. I think coffee's a culture. Right? That's my mentality. Food has 3 purposes, everybody: fuel, joy, and culture. So to me, coffee's all 3. Right? And that's why coffee's a part of my life. Now, if I absolutely had to give it up, if I have a heart condition, if my doctor said you should not drink coffee under any circumstance, I'll give up coffee. That's fine, because my health is most important to me. However, I'm here to share with you that there are many health benefits to coffee, and me as a healthy individual, I can drink coffee without any fear. But I do know what too much coffee will do to me. There have been times where I'm drinking a second cup of coffee in the afternoon and I get the jitters. And I'm like, ooh, this is not serving me. Let me just save the rest for tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, I've had some people I've worked with that are like, I don't drink coffee, but I drink Celsius. Or I drink this energy drink. And I'm like, ooh, that has almost more caffeine than coffee, and that there's way more health benefits to drinking coffee than drinking that. So you're better off switching. I'm just saying. Coffee's a plant. Celsius is producing a plant. In a plant. It's not a plant. It's actually produced in Boca Raton, Florida, which is where I live, in Delray Beach, Florida, next to it. So there's that. But I'm just here to give you the truth, guys. The good, the bad, and the truth. I'm here to help you make educated decisions. I'm here to understand your goals, your values, your food preferences, and help you get from where you are now to where you want to be, confusion free. So if you watch this video or this training and you're like, I still have a lot of questions, comment below with a couple of your questions. Let me see if I can answer them for you. Comment below with your questions. Or let's say you're like, you know what? Like, I have a lot of nutrition questions, not just about coffee. Like, I really want to understand nutrition for my goals and for my life and what I like to feed my family. What are some of my favorite foods? I travel. Like, how do I handle traveling and nutrition, right? Or like, I want to learn fitness for my body. Like, again, this is a very personal journey. And this is what we do in CMW. We help you get really clear on what you need to be successful. Not what I do, not what any of our clients do. There might be some overlap, but like, this is your journey. So if you want to learn more about customized nutrition for you, I'll drop my link below, createmyweight.com/apply. You can reach out to me and schedule a complimentary call just to see what you need to be successful. You know, how can I answer your questions? And then if you're looking for some more help, we'll go from there. But again, I wanted to at least give you the information. I got a lot of questions on coffee. I hope this helped you. Comment below with your big aha moment. Like, what's something you'll remember from this talk tonight? I'd love to know. Okay. Oh, Kathy, I forgot. You had a question about coffee versus tea. Well, coffee's alkaline, whereas coffee's acidic. I talked about that in week 2 of my program, FYI, Kathy, you know that. So if we're trying to raise the pH in our body and boost immunity, tea's gonna be better. And also, but they have different phytochemicals, different health benefits. So they're different in terms of alkaline versus acidity, but they both have great health benefits as well. And some coffees have the same amount of caffeine as, some teas have almost the same amount of caffeine, right? Like black tea has a lot of caffeine in it. Right? So just depends on what you need, your preferences. All right, guys, have an awesome day. I'll be back in the near future, not sure when, with another training. My CMW current clients, alumni, I'm gonna hop on Zoom in 10 minutes here to talk all about intermittent fasting during the holidays. It's not the typical type of intermittent fasting. It's a whole different type of fasting. Super excited to talk about it with you guys. This is just for our current clients and alumni, past clients. If you are neither of those things, but you want to learn more about this training, you can send me a DM here or comment below, and I'll talk to you about it. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.